Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The rise of fascism on American college campuses. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. A hallmark of fascist societies is the denial of free speech. And now that's happening on some college campuses. At the University of Missouri, President Timothy Wolf and Chancellor R. Bowen Lofton have both resigned because some students there say they did not do enough about alleged racism. There's no question that unruly students at Mizzou, as it's called, are running wild.
You think it's funny? You need to move.
I have a job to do. I'm documenting this for national news organization.
You can replay them like this.
Yes, I can. This is the First Amendment that protects your right to stand here, protects mine.
I'm walking forward. I'm walking forward.
You're pushing me.
I'm being pushed. We're walking.
You're not doing your job. You're not doing your job.
It's our right to walk forward, isn't it? I believe it's my right to walk forward.
Hi, media. Can I talk to you?
No, you need to get out. You need to get out.
No, I don't.
You need to get out.
I actually don't.
All right. Hey, who wants to help me get this reporter out of here? I need some muscle over here.
Now, that woman you just saw is a University of Missouri professor named Melissa Click. How disgraceful is that? At Yale, hundreds of students march across campus to protest what they see as racial insensitivity at the Ivy League school. The March of Resilience, as the demonstration was called, arose after Yale Intercultural Affairs Committee warned students not to wear, quote, racially insensitive Halloween costumes, unquote. A Yale administrator, Erica Christakis, who oversees a residence hall as an associate master, objected to that memo, saying it interrupted freedom of expression. Her husband, also a Yale employee, then had to defend her from an onslaught of criticism.
By sending out that email, that goes against your position as master. Do you understand that? Then
no, I don't agree with that.
Then why the did you accept the position?
Because
I hired you.
I have a different
You
vision
should
than you.
step down. If that is what you think about being a master, you should step down. It is not about creating an intellectual space. It is not. Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here. You are not doing that.
Now, we have seen the rise of intolerance on American campuses for years. Recently, the president of the University of Louisville had to apologize for this picture. He and his friends dressed in festive Mexican garb for Halloween. The picture was called racist by some on the Louisville campus. That picture racist? So the next time I go into a Mexican restaurant and somebody's wearing a sombrero, I can cry racism? That's how absurd the whole thing has become. Rush Limbaugh made an interesting point on his radio program, saying that for years American college students have been caught that their country is racist, a terrible place. And now the students are acting out. The nutty college professors have reaped what they have sown. They are no doubt encouraged by groups like Black Lives Matter and other radical concerns. Of course, the same thing happened during the Vietnam War. When I was a senior at Marist College, I was walking to class one day and was blocked by a radical student who told me no one would be going to class. Ordinarily, that would have been a big bonus for me. But because this guy was intruding on my freedom to make a decision, it did not end well for him. I attended the history class. Dr. Peter O'Keefe was glad to see me. There comes a point when freedom of speech, expression, movement, and thought must be defended. We have reached that point now. Get it, Yale? Get it, University of Missouri? And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight reaction. Joining us from Unresolved Problems segment tonight, Kirsten Powers has been listening patiently to our college campus fascism report and to the political landscape tonight. She joins us now from Washington. Let's take the college deal first. You went to the University of Maryland. You recently wrote a book called The Silencing about the very subject of shutting down free speech. You're almost an oracle because now it's crazy, is it not?
It really is. Yeah, it's even since my book went to bed, which is about 6 months ago, I could probably write another book, honestly. There's been so many examples, and I think when you look at the things that are happening in Missouri, for example, I just saw a story about a student saying that she's tired of people using their First Amendment rights to create an unsafe environment. And this is the mentality that we're seeing, that people just do not understand that you have to be able to tolerate disagreement People have to be able to disagree.
Yeah, I
and
don't
be
know
able
what
to
the
debate
unsafe
issues.
environment is. I've been reading all the dispatches. Obviously, I'm not out on the campus in Columbus, Missouri, and I'm not up in New Haven at Yale or in Boston at the crazy colleges up there. So I don't understand what this is. I mean, there are always going to always going to be kooks that say.
But I can explain it to you.
Go ahead.
I can explain it to you because what when she's talking about First Amendment, she's talking about people disagreeing. This is separate from the issue of why they're protesting in the first place. She's not talking about somebody saying something racist. She's talking about people disagreeing with the with what's going on. And this is what happens on the campuses, is what they are calling hate speech, or what they're saying is creating an unsafe environment, is in fact, you know, Condoleezza Rice coming to their campus and speaking.
An opposing point of view.
That's what they consider unsafe. It's not that actually
oppressive.
anybody's in any danger.
Not even it's oppressive to hear somebody with an opposing point of view. All right.
And yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, and they use the language. They use the language of violence. They talk about it as if they've been actually physically attacked because somebody has expressed an opinion different than theirs.
Their feelings are hurt.
Yeah, their feelings are hurt. But more importantly, their ideology's been challenged usually.
Okay, let's go to politics. Who's your favorite Republican?
I don't have a favorite Republican.
You don't like any of them?
I don't, you know, I'm not, I don't have a favorite candidate at all on either side, I really.
There's nobody on the Republican field? There's 8 people up there, 7 men, 1 woman?
Well, I would say, who do I think is the most impressive? I would say is Marco Rubio.
To you?
Yes.
To Kirsten Powers?
Yes, I think Marco Rubio is the most impressive. I like Jeb Bush. I think he seems like a good man. I don't think he's been a particularly good candidate, and I think the way he's trying to go after Rubio is not helping him at all.
What about Ben Carson?
I think it's going to damage him. I think he seems like a nice man. I do not see him as somebody who should be president, could be president, and I'm actually mystified by the fact that there's so many people who seem to think that he should be.
Well, they admire his value system, and you know, because we don't have very many values anymore in Washington, I think that's what's propelling him.
Well, I'm not saying I don't understand why people find him to be a compelling man. I understand that. That's different than thinking that somebody should be the president. I think that you need to have somebody who, you know, what I would love to actually ask him is, look, being a surgeon is very impressive, no question. You have done incredible things at Johns Hopkins, but how does that translate into running a massive bureaucracy?
But he has an answer for that all day long.
But it's not. He really does not have the skill set or the experience to do that. Whatever you know, I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but at least you could say about Donald Trump, he's run businesses.
Well, that was my question for Goldberg, but I think Dr. Carson would tell you that what he has accomplished shows discipline and whatever, so he could run the government. But I mean, look, I'll let him speak for himself. I think that question might well be asked.
Yeah.
All right, Kirsten Powers, everybody, there she is by her book.
All right.
We come right back.